During the month of Elul, you will hear here at BHSS us recite the 27th Psalm on Friday nights. Some Jews recite it daily during Elul, others recite it between the first of Elul all the way through the end of Sukkot. And I'll share with you an interpretation of the psalm in a little bit. But the question, of course, is why do we recite this psalm at this time of year? And so I have four explanations to share with you today. One is from Rabbi Shabbatai Rashkov, and it is a Kabbalistic explanation, a mystical explanation, which is that in Psalm 27, the name of God is recited 13 times, and 13, especially at this time of year, is a protective number. For example, we recite this phrase that is called the 13 names of God, Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, it goes on, but it is supposed to be protective, and that Psalm 27 recites God's name 13 times, according to Rabbi Rashkov, is also protective. Reason number two, Rabbi Ephraim Zalman Margaliot and others refer to Midrash Tehillim, so a group of expositions on Psalms. And they say that in this psalm, when they say God is my light, that they are referring to Rosh Hashanah. My salvation refers to Yom Kippur, and that also refers to Sukkot when it says, God will shelter me in God's sukkah. And so the idea is that because God is referred to in this psalm, that we recite it during this time of year, it takes a little bit more stretching to get to the idea that the light of God is Rosh Hashanah. Salvation on Yom Kippur makes more sense. And the fact that it mentions Sukkah for Sukkot, I guess, makes a lot of sense. Third explanation. In recent literature about the high holidays, people talk about the last verse of the psalm, and they say, had I not the assurance that I would enjoy the goodness of Adonai in the land of the living. And there is some really interesting markings, let's say, in the Masoretic text, that is to let us know that one of the words, lule, had I not, right, is actually elul backwards, and it's a hint, and therefore we should recite the psalm. Probably the least compelling reason, if you want to ask me. Fourth reason, maybe most compelling, is that it's recited this time of year because it has words of encouragement for these days of awe. It's really about being concerned about what's going on in the world, about what's going to happen to us, and wanting God to be with us and wanting God's salvation, which I think is something that we all relate to at the high holidays, and particularly this year. At any rate, this psalm has been associated with the high holidays, of course, since Midrash Tehillim was written, but there is documentation that it has been recited during this time period since at least the 16th century. So this is an interpretation of the psalm by Rabbi Brant Rosen. You are my light and my hope. Why should I fear? You are my life and my strength. So why do I tremble? When I contemplate surrender to my dread of the unknown, I hold tight to you, and your strength gives me strength. I only ask one thing of you, just this one thing, that I may be welcome in your house all the days of my life, to dwell in your innermost place, in safety beneath the softness of your wings. Be my shelter when I am racked by hardship and disquiet. Offer me sanctuary, and from there I will sing hymns to the darkness with openness and love. Do you hear my song? Do you hear me when I cry to you? Do not turn away. I seek you endlessly. I turn constantly toward your light. In my darkest moments of this, I am sure. I will never be alone. Yes, even if my father and my mother abandon me, you will be with me to gather me up. Guide me in your ways, lead me down the paths of wholeness and peace. Remind me that no matter how far I stray, there is always a road to return. Though I don't always see it, I will ever trust in your goodness right here, right now, in the land of the living. Hold on to your hope and be strong. The time of our return will soon arrive.